Okay, I'm starting the recording going now, whilst we're still getting everyone coming in. So now, if you've already submitted your email address, submit it again now, so it'll actually be in the recording of the chat, so that I can then get it sent out. So type it in again, just so that the system will then have it, so it'll all be saved on all the complex ones and zeros out there in the text file, which I can then boom send straight out. There is a discount code for you if you want to buy any equipment. And so that's why we need your email address, so that the participants who are here for the live performance, so to speak, can actually get their discount, which makes everything nice and clear. 106 have turned up now. Okay, shall I get started? Shall I get started now? Because it may have been 400 have registered, but only 106 are going to turn up. So I don't know. So what I'll do is I will get going and see what happens here. So let's make sure I can click on the right bit. Okay. And this is what we're talking about here today. Okay, the cancer protocol using Spooky2. So from the top, I'm going to have to tell you straight out that I am not in any way at all a doctor, nor am I a healthcare practitioner, nor am I someone who has cancer to the best of my knowledge, nor am I treating myself for cancer. So why am I someone who's been chosen to speak about this stuff? Because I use Spooky2 every single day, and I found it very beneficial for yeast, mold, Candida albicans, and the co-infections to go along with all of these things, plus a few other issues I've had. And I've been very experimental in using it, which means that I've discovered for what I'm using it for, it is essentially beneficial. Sure, I'm still doing other things with diet, nutrition, supplementation, but the fact of the matter is, I've discovered that there is benefit to using this. So therefore, there will be benefit to doing it for cancer. Okay? So what we're going on about here, you'll notice the phases of the cancer protocol on your screen right now has been repeated twice. That's just an error, okay? Probably on my part, okay? So from the top, what is the cancer protocol? The phases of the cancer protocol, the methods of delivery, and I will show you a live demonstration of editing the presets, which sounds really complicated and really kind of like, oh no, I can't handle it, but you will be able to handle it because I'm going to make life a lot easier for you. Just through showing how it's done. Okay, because you may have read the information that's come with the software, but that may not have been very clear for you. But it is there to, for you to use for your benefit, and I would recommend you go back to it. And we'll be referring to the various page numbers of the protocol as well, so you'll be able to work out where to go to get the information, which I may have made clearer for you, but needs clarifying even further as a result of you reading stuff. So what actually is the cancer protocol? Firstly, it's a protocol, okay? The thinking has already been done for you. The research has been done for you. It's been put into a formula. You just go through the formula, okay? It's a cancer protocol to treat cancers. And you can customize the protocol to treat specific cancer. Breast, prostate, liver, okay? Just because there's extra things you can add to it in order to target the problem. So it incorporates your general biofeedback scan and one specific to the cancer itself, okay? As well as an extra frequency set for the problem. Okay, where is it? Now there's two which is mentioned in the software. And the one we're looking at today is called DB. Okay, cancer DB. That's its location. It's in the cancer folder, and it's protocol DB. And there's also the README PDF, which is included in the software. If you've downloaded the software, you've got the PDF there, and that PDF refer back to it in a relaxed, objective way, and it will give you plenty of information. Now, this is where it gets interesting. What are the methods of delivery? Plasma, scalar, and contact. You will notice that remote is not mentioned in that list. Now, remote is used, but it's not being defined as a method of delivery, because we're using it for detox maintenance, we're using it for support, and to add an extra bit of help for you when you're going through the process. But your main methods of delivery is plasma, scalar, and contact. Now, with Spooky2, we tend to use the word plus rather a lot, don't we? You know, plasma plus, scalar plus, contact plus 4, and contact plus 2. Let's try and break it down. There's a protocol for plasma, there's a protocol for scalar, there's a protocol for contact with 4 generators, which could be 4 XM generators if you're on a lower budget, okay? And, or indeed just a 2 generator system, which you could do with 1 generator X, if you have generator X, which I personally prefer to use myself. Now, the phases, the stages you go through, starts off with terrain. Now, the word terrain is essentially used to mean landscape, namely the landscape of your body, your organs of elimination, and getting the body ready for more killing. There is a terrain protocol in the detox folder, and if you've already done that, then you can skip the terrain phase, which is included in the cancer protocol. And you can go straight to the part which deals with the treatment, okay, the target. The terrain phase helps to clean up the landscape of the body to make all forms of rifing much more effective. So even if you're not treating for cancer, you're trying to treat for other things, then do a terrain. It sets the stage for more killing and more healing. It's quite short. Okay? So it's 10 days for plasma or scalar, 15 days for contact, and then of course there's the remote method, which you're probably familiar with, which is 11 days. If you want to have a more effective terrain, you go for contact or plasma, in my humble opinion, based upon my limited experience. I mean, the remote method is okay, 11 days, but I'd rather do a 15-day, 16-day contact because it's powerful. Now, thinking about the text, which is in the software, there are various pages which tell you the terrain order. Okay, the PDF is like a recipe book. It tells you what sets to run and when and for how long. So the plasma terrain is on page 44. Scalar is on page 48. Contact 4 is on page 51 for its terrain. And contact 2 is on page 55 for its terrain. Now we're going to explain how the table, what the table itself actually means. And we have a snippet from the terrain for plasma here. Have a look. You've got columns and you've got a row. On the left-hand side, you've got X2. That means times 2. That means 2 days or 2 nights. You got the P01 next to it. That means plasma 01. Plasma, the first frequency set, essentially, on the terrain for this part of the protocol. You'll notice in the remarks section, it says near field only. And that's because you're dealing with a very complicated illness. SC stands for Spooky Central, which is the plasma device which has the extra add-ons of contact on the Spooky Central as well as ultrasonic. And if you're blending the plasma plus the contact plus the ultrasonic coming out of Spooky Central, which is the plasma unit, you get more power. And near fields means you try and keep your plasma device, the tube or the phanatron, close to the area which is being treated, because then you get the near field effects and the healing power will be quicker, will be more effective. Then to the right of that, it says generator 1. Now, it might seem a bit difficult to understand because it's not the first generator. The first generator is essentially the one that's running your Spooky Central, your plasma running, which has the generator running P01. Then you've got another generator, which in this particular table is called generator 1. That's just the second generator. And that's running a remote because it's got the letter R. And that's 01. So it's essentially the same frequency set, but it's got the settings adjusted for remote. Are you with me so far? Then you've got generator 2, which has R01 again. But that's the third generator. So we've got a 3-generator system going here. One that's running your Spooky Central, one that's running generator 1, and one that's running generator 2. So you've got the plasma sets, you've got the remote sets, and you're doing it for 2 nights. Okay. So now we got a different example so that you can understand this. Okay. On the left-hand side, first it says run times 3. So that's for 3 nights. Then you've got generator 1, which has C01, which means contact 01, the first frequency set for the terrain of contact. And then in blue, beneath it, it says R01. Now, the rationale for that is that during the night, you're going to be running the metals and chemicals past the terrain. During the day, when you're at work and having arguments with the boss or going shopping and meeting with your family, you'll run the remote version on generator 1. Generator 2, we've got, again, 2 different figures there. You've got R01 and M01. Okay, so that's 1 for the remote and 1 for the coil. In this case, you will be running the coil at night. Okay, when you're in bed, receiving your Rife Therapy. Generator 3, again, remote 01. And generator 4, again, remote 01. And it tells you when to start it. Start generator 3, 5 minutes after generator 2. Start generator 4, 5 minutes after generator 3. I don't mean you have to get it precisely to the second. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, I don't want you to get like fearful and neurotic because you left it to 5 minutes and 4 seconds or something crazy like that, or only 4 minutes and 25 seconds. We're just staggering it to give your body more power. Once you've done terrain, you can then get onto the target phase, the cancer phase, the bit which is actually, the fun bit, the bit which will treat the problem. And this phase consists of 4 steps, 3 of which include your 2 biofeedback scan results and specific cancer programs. Now, we do have videos out there right now with Echo and all the team demonstrating how to do a biofeedback scan, whether it's with Generator X, whether it's with the wonders of the XM generator and Spooky Pulse, or whether it's with the sample digitizer. And you can literally Google for them, or you can go to spooky2videos.com. That's spooky2videos.com. Okay? The biofeedback scan results include a general system scan and a specific scan for the cancer. There are also 2 extra presets for detox, body healing, Herxheimer reactions, and pain. So those are there for you to use, and you need to use your common sense as to what your body is going through so you can make the right decision to use the right frequency sets. Okay, are you having a bad Herxheimer reaction? Then okay, stop for a while, run Herxheimer reaction, or indeed maybe run that on an extra generator. There is a rationale to have a few extra generators lying around and connected to your laptop so that you can run more in terms of like Herxheimer reaction sets if you're getting a bad reaction. So how long does the protocol itself take? The terrain itself, 10 to 15 days, not long. The cancer phase takes 14 days on plasma and Scalar, and 21 to 25 days on contact. This is where we get onto the reality check, because Spooky2 is not this massive, big, red, invisible button somewhere on the internet that you can press and all your problems go away. Okay? You carry on repeating this target phase, this cancer phase, until the problem's gone. This may take months or years. Now, I have seen reports of some people get like completely healed in 8 weeks, but I've also seen people take longer. Okay, my personal, opinion is you should always do what your doctor says and carry on doing what your doctor says, as well as doing anything else from a healthy way of living to try and help yourself out. But before you start your cancer phase, get your biofeedbacks together. Your general system biofeedback, your cancer biofeedback, and search the database for cancer-specific frequency sets. And here it shows you the page where you can find information on that in the DV protocol. Page 5, page 13, and page 12. What is interesting is that the biofeedback sets and the biofeedback methods in the software is not actually in the cancer folder. Okay, it's not actually in the cancer folder. It's in the normal part of the software which deals with biofeedback. And here we have the address for where you would get the stuff for Spooky Pulse biofeedback, which is for the XM generator, and Generator X, Scalar Digitizer, which is again a Generator X thing, and Sample Digitizer. If you're using Scalar, you'll be running it off Generator X. Okay, so you'll have to have the Generator X to be able to do the Scalar Digitizer scan. Same with Sample Digitizer. As it says here, with the pulse, you scan with TENS pads, right wrist, left ankle. That's actually quite a powerful treatment in its own right. I've had a big Herxheimer reaction the first time I did a scan using Spooky Pulse and an XM generator. With Generator X, for a general scan, left and right side of the abdomen beneath your ribs. If it's a more specific thing for your cancer, then it's going to be either side of your lung, where the problem is. If it's a skin cancer, either side of the problem on your skin. Okay? If it's breast cancer, either side of the problem. So on and so forth. But with Sample Digitizer, you're only getting biofeedback based upon the sample. So it's only if you're actually getting fluid from the cancer, the Sample Digitizer would be useful. In some cases, that is the case. In other cases, it won't be. So most people will be using Spooky Pulse, Generator X, and Scalar. Or Scalar, I should say. So with Spooky Pulse, again, you have the TENS pads, right wrist, left ankle for a cancer-specific scan. But you're using a cancer-specific scan method in order to find the frequency for the problem. As I said, generator X, you place your TINS pads either side of the cancer itself. With sample digitizer, you must use a sample which contains the cancer cells so that you can then target the actual problem. How often to do biofeedback? It's a big question. With generator X, every 3 to 4 days, because you want to try and get, the accuracy and the precision for what's going on in your body at that time. Spooky Pulse once a week, and a Spooky Pulse scan can take some time, so you probably will want to do it once a week rather than twice a week, because we've all got busy lives. Okay, so this is the fun bit when I'm going to get out my software and show you how to edit some presets. And I'm going to demonstrate to you something which sounds very complicated, and I'm hopefully going to make it simpler for you. So I'm going to stop share, and we'll return back to that in a second. Got lots of lovely email addresses coming in. That's fantastic. If you haven't put your email address in the chat, please do so, because if you do that, then you'll be eligible to receive your discount on goods. The PDF is not going to be emailed to the best of my knowledge. The information, because this video is going to go out there, will be accessible. So I'm going to go back into share screen. And I'm going to share this. Okay, as you can see, I'm using generator X. At the moment, the biofeedback thing is, it's sensing that there's some interference around. That's why the graph is going up and down. Ignore that for now. Okay. So now we're doing a demonstration of incorporating sets and scans into the cancer program. So I've clicked on cancer. So now we have the list. I'll do that again so you can see it. Cancer is there, okay? So this is a list of all the stuff in the cancer folder. We're going to go on to DB, just by way of example, okay? Because you can do the same thing for remotes and plasma and Scalar. So I'm just going to show it to you on contact for the heck of it. Let's say we're up to C06, because everything from 1 to 5 is terrain. C06, 07, 08, that's essentially the most important part of the cancer thing. Okay, so let's say we're on C06. Once I've selected that, I can then click on programs. And all of the frequencies that was in that chain has now appeared in the box in loaded programs. This is cool, okay? This is really rather good, because now we can put things in and take things out prior to running it. So let's say for a start off, I'm concerned I've got liver cancer. I've been told I've got liver cancer. Let's just say. So I'm going to do a program search for liver cancer. There we go. There's a 30-minute liver cancer set. Double click. It appears down below there. Okay, but I'm also going to need 2 biofeedbacks, which I can search for, whoops, through typing in BFB. Now, I don't use this computer for most of my writing. I, in fact, use another one. So I'm just going to choose 2 BFBs, biofeedbacks at random. Okay? Double click on that one. And double click on that one. Just for the heck of it. Okay, there's just 2 biofeedbacks I've done. But what you will have done, as well as including a frequency set for your cancer type, which you would have searched for just like I've done here and double-clicked on it. You would have also included your cancer scan results, which I've highlighted in blue here, and your own general scan results. Now, these three sets here, these aren't real sets, they're placeholders. Because it's telling us that that's where we want to put our sets in. So let's say if I was to click onto liver cancer, I can then use the blue arrow to put it there. And I can remove the placeholder, which says your cancer type, through double clicking on it. It's now gone. Now let's say this one here was my cancer scan results. I can then use the blue arrows to put it in place. And I can remove the placeholder. Okay, does that make sense? And finally, my last scan, do the same thing. Use the blue arrows, put it in place. Remove the placeholder, and then you can run it. At the bottom of the screen here, it says estimated total run time, 6 hours, 10 minutes. So you can do that overnight. And that's how you edit the preset. So I can then just click on settings. And if I want to add a harmonic wobble, I could. Maybe remove ramping, then go into control. As usual, click override generator, select the generator you're using, and then you're ready to go. So all you then need to do is to put your TENS pads on the body and click on the start button. That's how presets are edited. Okay. Does that make it easier to understand? I mean, when you see the phrase, edit presets, when I first saw that, I ended up going into blind panic because I'm stupid, okay? But if it's explained to you like that, does it seem a little easier to understand? Okay, so we got a few yeses there. So I'm going to click share screen again and hope I can find the right page. Yeah, here we go. Yep, that was it. That was a live demonstration. So which presets need to be edited? 6, 7, and 8. The same procedure needs to be done on the main method of delivery as well as on the remote. Because if you remember what I showed you before, you're running, let's say, your contacts overnight, but the same frequency sets equivalent in remote, you'll then run during the day. Okay? So before you set the remote one running, you'll do the preset editing thing I've just shown you. And before you go to bed at night, you'll do the preset editing thing I've just shown you. It only takes a few clicks, less time than it takes to boil enough water for a cup of tea. Okay? Cheers. Now, if you're doing it on plasma, and you're doing 6, 7, and 8, this is what we got. On the left-hand side here, SC stands for Spooky Central. Near field, far field, day or night as desired. If you've got a serious problem, you're going to want to do near field, aren't you? It makes sense. So you've got your 2 biofeedback scans plus your relevance frequency set for your condition. Contact and ultrasonic for near field only, that's what it's recommending. And then remotes. And on generator 2, which is of course your third generator, all detox RDB, run non-stop until protocol is done. And the purpose of that is to carry on getting your body to carry on getting rid of some toxicity. On the left-hand side, you can see x4 times 4. That's 4 nights and 4 days. So that's 1 4 is 4, 2 4 is 8, 3 4 is 12 days plus an extra 2. 12, 13, 14 days in order to complete it. And this is found on page 34 of the Cancer Protocol documentation, the PDF, which is within the software, which you can get when you download it. Okay, Scalar, very similar to plasma in its execution. We got the letter S, signifying its scalar. It tells you the frequency set number, 06. You can treat the PDF as a recipe book, which tells you which particular frequency sets that you can add into it over what time period. You got your generator 1 and generator 2. So you got one generator, your generator X, running your spooky scalar. And then you got one, maybe an XM generator running generator 1, and another XM generator running generator 2. So the equipment that you need is one generator X, 2 XM generators with remotes, and of course the scalar unit. Now with contact 4, that's when you're doing contact mode and you've got 3 other generators running remote programs. This is what it looks like. Okay, remember you're adding your biofeedback scans, you're doing the preset editing as I've shown you. On the left-hand side, I don't know whether you can see my mouse pointer there, it's 6 days on each stage. 1, 6, 6, 2, 12, 18, then 19, 20, 21 days to get through the treatment, the actual target treatment phase of the cancer protocol. CO6 during the night when you're in bed, and RO6 during the day when you're at work, dealing with this, that, and the other. Okay, generator 2, RO6 during the day, remote 06, and then the coil's version of 06 at night with the coil in a relevant place on your cancer with the BN or bio north against the problem. Okay, generator 3, remote 06, okay, run continually during this time. Generator 4 or detox, run continually during this time. Does that make sense? Okay, the thinking's been done for you, the chart is there for you. I know if you've got like a bit of brain fog going on, which I've had with my health issues, it can be difficult, but this is a protocol, it's written there for you to understand, and I hope this is making it a bit clearer. Now, when you've only got 2 XM generators, you can still do this. And 2 XM generators is, in fact, relatively affordable. All right? I mean, you can, if you put aside £2 a day every day for a year, you've got more money than you need to get yourself, much more money than you need to get yourself 1 XM generator with remote units and one of the XM portable kits. But it's pretty much the same. But it's 7 days. Because you've got less equipment, you're using a weaker method, you're using contact, you're not using plasma or getting in there with Scalar. Okay, so it's 7 days to get through CO6, CO7, and CO8. 1, 6, 7, 2, 7, 14, 3, 7, 21, plus 4 days of overnight contacts. Okay, does that make sense? And on generator 2, you're just running detox continually during this time. It is worthwhile, if you've got extra generators and extra remotes, to have them at hand. Yes, running all detox we've already mentioned. You can also have the extra generator to run things like hoximosets, or indeed the remote cancer general DNA, or the cancer comprehensive DNA as well. This is just extra beneficial stuff. So think about that, think about whether you need an extra generator, or if you can't budget for it, don't worry about that. Stick to the protocol to the most part, but have extra generators if you can. Right, and now we come to the fun part, because before I'll open things up so as I can listen to your questions and try and answer them. I've been given a few other things to answer, and so we'll share that. Okay, the first question I was given prior to starting today was, I'm reading the cancer protocol in preparation for the webinar. It says for a cancer biofeedback scan to place the TENS pads around the tumor close together. Well, my stage 4 breast cancer lesions are all throughout my bones, mainly my clavicle bones, all up and down my spine and over my hip bones. Where would be the best placement for good, accurate cancer BFB scan? That's very difficult to say. Now, you can either choose to use Generator X and try and find the worst parts of the body and try and scan on that. Or alternatively, you can try and incorporate the whole body and go back to using an XM generator, which you can use the pulse scan unit with. Or you could do pulse scanning, I believe, although I haven't tried it, with Generator X as well. So it might be worthwhile ordering a pulse unit, which is relatively cheap, in order to try and help you to do a whole body biofeedback scan. Question number 2. I usually use my plasma long tube overnight running a cancer preset while sleeping. Can the cancer biofeedback scan results be run overnight on the plasma and then on remote during the day? Yes, we've covered that. Because you're incorporating that in all the rest in your other sets, using the preset editing method, which I've shown you and demonstrated. And then you can run the whole thing on remote during the day when you're not receiving it on plasma. That is recommended. That is part of the protocol. That's okay. Question number 3. Instead of going through the protocol, would it be effective to treat cancer by just running cancer biofeedback scans and then running them again on plasma overnight and remote during the day by themselves? I think that opens up a can of worms in terms of the question, because the other aspects of the protocol and the other frequency sets which are there for a purpose. Now, you can try and do it without, but if you're dealing with cancer which could possibly get worse, I personally would be more inclined to follow the protocol as far as you can. It's being created for you, and it's worthwhile doing them. But how often between cancer scans? Well, in general, if you're using the XM pulse method, once a week. If you're using Generator X, every 3 or 4 days. And then to stick to that structure and fit that into your life, or indeed fit your life around it. Because that's essentially what's been laid down for us by people who've, put this to the test. So that's what I personally would suggest. Now, I'm not a 100% expert in cancer, so I can't say that my answer is 100% what you require. I don't know, and your body may react differently. But that's what I think, taking into account what little I know about the cancer method. Question number 4. I read in the cancer protocol that one can turn on the plasma unit and run it all day, and if I'm in the next room, far fields would probably still reach me. Yes, I understand that is accurate, but it is far fields and therefore nowhere near as powerful as being close to. I also read that you can place a DNA sample tape under the plasma tube, and then you would be getting the plasma treatment by remote, which would be stronger than ordinary remotes. Yes, I understand that is accurate. Can one have plasma far field and plasma remotes going at the same time if I'm in another room without it being too much? That depends upon your body. If you put it to the test and you get a Herxheimer reaction, you will need to run Herxheimer reaction sets. That's what they're there for. But as far as would it be too much, maybe the question is, if that is your sole method, would that be too little? I'm assuming that that is not your sole set, and you want to use your plasma device, whether it's the Fanachon or the straight tube, instead of the remote. I don't really see anything wrong with that. But make sure you're still doing the overnight near field work with the plasma, because that seems to be the best way of doing it. Okay, so I'm going to click stop share so you can now see my face in full screen. What I'm hoping is that my explanation and the presentation provided by Spooky2 has put a bit more flesh on the bones for this one particular protocol, so you can actually understand how it's done, and with greater ease, without it seeming too much like a, oh my word, you know, too much, which is essentially what it can seem. But we've now got some questions appearing in the chat, and we've also got some Q&A sections. Okay, one of the questions is, I hope you can cover if we can use Spooky1 on chemo. I'm not a doctor, I cannot really answer that question. My instinct is that you take a complementary method and you complement a regular treatment with it. Okay, David, you sent through your email in questions and answers. Can I ask you to make sure you put that in the chat so that you can receive your promotional code? Andrea says, so we need 3 generators. We cannot use generator X alone. You can use generator X alone if you're treating it as a 2-generator method, such as the contact 2 method. You could use, yes, you can use just generator X if you want. But on the other hand, if you've got the extra generators, then you've got more power, you've got more ability, and you can do more accurately, more reliably with it. But if you were to treat generator X as being 2 generators, which it is, you can then run remote and contact with it. Now, it's difficult logistically to put a boost unit in at the same time as having the cables for plasma. But if you can work out a way of doing it, then you can do your overnight remote at the same time as your overnight plasma. So yes, you can essentially do it, but it's just like easier for you to have your generator X for 2 generators and an extra XM generator for the 3rd generator, or indeed 2 extra XM generators, and you've got 4 generators essentially, and then you can do everything with it, and everything becomes a lot easier. Or indeed just get even more than that, and maybe 3 XM generators. You can work it out, okay? Can you run the terrain on Scalar or plasma rather than on contact? Yeah, yes you can. It is more powerful, as far as I can tell, to run terrain on contact than on remote. But if you run it on plasma, then that's more powerful still. I haven't yet tried doing terrain on plasma myself, but I know that contact clears me out a lot easier. On Scalar, yes, I think you can do terrain on Scalar. Should be no problem with that. Let me just call up the software and just have a quick look. Go back to presets, go back to the very beginning, click on the detox folder. Yeah, there is a plasma and Scalar version of terrain within the detox folder in the software itself. Where can I find the protocol document? Okay, well, I'll take you to it. And just, can I click share screen when I've got the chat up there? Share screen. Okay, click share. Okay, well, here we have Spooky2. Let's go back. Click on cancer. Click on DB, which is what we've been dealing with today. And at the bottom there, it says Guide, Cancer, DB, Click Me PDF. And this is what it looks like. It's got all your information there. Okay? It is worthwhile having extra generators. Because as you can see, there's the healing sets, there's the Herxheimer sets, There's overnight pain sets, and it's worthwhile having an extra XM generator on hand connected to your USB bar so that you can do those things. But this PDF will cover everything you need to know. It tells you what's in the kits and what you can use the kits for. It covers the entire recipe as to how to go through each and every single set, taking into account which particular method you're using, and it's there for you. Okay? Right, so can you clarify how to do the cancer scan? So are we simply running the general scan preset with the TENS pads around the cancer? Essentially, yeah. General with baseline on Generator X. Now, if you've got sample digitizer and your cancer is producing fluid, then you can use it. But if you haven't got that, then you place the pads around the area. Should we be doing grade scanning or optimized grade scanning using specific frequencies with the TENS pads around the cancer area? I don't think that's necessary. All right, I think that you probably could. I mean, if you know you got liver cancer and it's liver cancer you're targeting, I don't see anything wrong with doing grade scanning to try and get a more precise liver cancer set. Okay, so long as it's there for the problem, because within the protocol, you're doing sets for your whole body as well as sets for the problem. I presume the understanding is that there's problems in the whole body anyway, and they need to be dealt with, as well as problems in the organ. And that's why you need to have a bit of both going on. But essentially, in general, it's a general scan of the problem. And I don't know, but my guess would be that there could be other things inside the problem organ which also need addressing. So it's worthwhile, doing it that way. Can I run a HERX while doing the terrain or cancer protocol, or do I have to pause what I'm doing? I don't see the problem with running. If you've got an extra generator, run Herxheimer on that anyway if you want. Okay, you can pause. I mean, if your Herxheimer state is terrible, and I was mentoring one guy who had terrible Herxheimer reactions, even from terrain, and he just had to stop completely. Now, if you ended up like that, then what I would suggest is provided, of course, your cancer is not too aggressive, then you can stop everything and just run Herxheimer's sets for a couple of days until you start to feel better. But then you can then go back to it, because if this is a long haul for many months or many years, then taking the occasional break probably won't hurt you. But again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a qualified medical practitioner by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a guy with a keyboard who uses this technology every day for his chronic fatigue and candida and the other issues I've got going on. How do I do biofeedback calibration prior to a scan? Just do it. Okay, I don't think you need to calibrate it too much. I mean, if I do a scan for myself, a general biofeedback scan, I'm not going to worry too much about extra calibration. I'll just do it the way it is. Okay, I mean, sometimes I don't have time, and I'll try and find a way of shortening it, and I'll show you how that's done. Not necessarily that that's good practice, but I can still show you how it's done. If I can just move that over here, and I can go back to share screen. Right. Okay, so if I wanted to go into biofeedback up here, Generator X, and let's say I want to do a general biofeedback scan. I then don't click on programs, don't click on settings, I then click on control. And at the bottom of the screen here, where the bottom little more than a third of the screen is all the biofeedback controls. Okay, it says there biofeedback scan. And what I can do is, after I've overwritten generator, selected the generator I want to use, then initial step size got a percentage there, and I can shorten it, because at the bottom it says estimated duration 28 minutes and 35 seconds. I can sometimes have such a busy day, I don't have 28 minutes in my life. So I can click on that between the 0 and the 2.5, that's an initial step size percentage, and I remove the 0. So it says 0.25, not 0, not 0.025. Now estimated duration is 3 minutes 22 seconds. Now the downside of what I've just done is it will, lower the resolution of the information that the scan is picking up. Because it's not getting as much information, it doesn't have enough time to be as precise. But on the other hand, I will still get my frequencies, the frequencies I require. And I can change the number of hits that I require to something that's more appropriate, to a larger number if I wanted to. Still just 3 minutes 22 seconds. I personally would tend to use angle and current. Now, if you're going to be very, very good, you're going to type something into the log name, such as whatever it is you're scanning for, and today's date, 0509/2020, so I can find it again. Okay? If you don't type anything in here, it'll be harder to find it when you're looking it up. And then I would just click on the scan button and let it run when it's set to current. Then afterwards, what the hell, I'll do it. It's 3 minutes 22 seconds. I can take my TENS pads and I can shove them on my abdomen and I can do a scan for you. Oh, bear with me a second whilst I just lift my shirt up and get some TENS pads on my body. Ooh. Ooh. The only bad part of this therapy is putting cold TENS pads on hot skin. Oh. Okay. Actually, we'll try and, we'll make it even shorter. We'll make it even shorter just for this demonstration, shall we? Okay, 1 minute 58. This will be a current scan. So I'm just going to click scan. Now, just for your information, I've done biofeedback scans on myself before a lot, and I've had some very interesting experiences. When I first started doing Generator X scanning, I mean, I really wanted like the parasites to go. But it turned out the main thing that the scan was picking up was the yeast and the candida. And so when I ended up running the frequency set overnight on plasma, I woke up and I was bright scarlet because I was having a reaction to the killed off yeast as a result of me doing far field work with a plasma tube based upon what was being picked up. So it's picking up things which you don't think are the main problem, but which are a main problem and which are essentially being sorted out. You can now see the graph is moving. I'm being scanned. This is a current scan. So this should just stop you from feeling quite so anxious about doing scans, basically. And very soon it will come to an end. On the top, it says current preset duration, 116. There we go. It's giving me a couple of frequencies, but not many. Okay. So what I can do is I can save that. Remember, this is current. Okay. So we'll save that. And the name I've given it is there. Fine. 180 seconds dwell time. Fine, that'll do nicely. Just move my face out of the way. Click save. Yeah, I'm sure of this. So, I can then click on angle and current. Click analyze. It's asking me, what do you want me to analyze? So I go down. You can double click on that. And now we have lots more numbers. Why do we have lots more numbers in that? Because instead of it just being on current, it's on angle and current. So I can then save that. Write AC afterwards for angle and current. So I'm then going to save that. Okay. Now I can go into shell empty presets, contact. I'm trying to find, I go to killing. We're going to try and find the program itself. Programs, biofeedback. And then there's my two sets there. Click on that one, click on that one. So I can then remove duplicate frequencies on the bottom here. Okay? So if there were any duplicate, I'm going to get the benefit of currents as well as angle and current to get a longer, better set. And I can then click on Control, override generator, 3, and all the numbers come out there. Okay? So what you can do is you can get the benefit of current, then analyze it with angle, and then analyze it with angle and current, and put them all together in one big set. And you can then you can click start and you can run it if you're just running your own frequency set. Or you could use all of that as your scan. Are you with me? Okay. To get more accurate numbers, to get a more, a more precise, more well-rounded thing, so that you can then solve the problem with much greater ease. Does that make sense? All right. Is plasma still the gold standard compared to Scalar? Depends what you're talking about. All right. Plasma and Scalar are two very different tools. Plasma is a very good killer of pathogens. All right. Plasma, and if you want, if you're using Spooky Central, okay, you're using plasma tube with the ability to then add the Spooky Central contact as well, and that increases the killing power tremendously. I've had experiences which have proven that. Then you add the ultrasonic as well as the contact, and you have even more killing power. So that is really, really amazing. Scalar, I have had some pathogen killing experiences on it, but I find that Scalar is much more to do with the healing of the body. Now, even if you're running hunt and kill on Scalar, it won't necessarily get what you're after. Okay, not necessarily. It's a very different tool. My impression, because I've experienced it, is it's more to do with tissue healing rather than necessarily pathogen killing. So if you wanted to be like really amazing and really dedicated to your use of Spooky2, then a great thing to do would be to use both. Okay? So overnight, you're doing lots and lots and lots of killing using the wonders of plasma with the extra contact and the ultrasonic and all that, just like bam, okay? And during the day, you're running the remotes as part of the protocol as it describes. But also when you're downstairs watching TV and the rest of that, or when you're working at your computer, you have your Scalar boxes either side of you and you run the Scalar equivalent of the same thing. So you're still getting the energy coming from Scalar. You're also getting the frequencies which are relevant to your problem, but it's going to work more on tissue healing. That's the way I see it. Now, there could be other people out there who see it in a different way. But if you were to incorporate all of that into your methods, the likelihood of there being success, I believe, it is my humble opinion of, could be higher. It's just something to think about. But plasma does what plasma does, Scalar does what Scalar does, and it depends upon what your needs are. All right, if the tumors have been removed, but there are cancer cells remaining, where is best to put the TENS pads? Well, hang on a second. If the tumor was, let's say, in your arm, and the actual thing has been removed, then presumably there would still be cells in your arm, wouldn't there? So you'd still want to scan either side of wherever the problem is. But if it's somewhere dispersed in your body, then you need to go for a whole body method. And so it's generator X either side of your abdomen, or using the pulse method, right wrist, left ankle. Okay? Is it not possible to treat someone from cancer without them being present? Only with the remote would it take longer? Difficult to say. My impression is that, considering that the protocol information I've been given and the information presence that I've been told to tell you, does not mention remote as being a primary source of treatment. Okay? It only mentions remote as being a supportive tool to help provide the extra energy during the day, because disease never sleeps, so you need to have something there to try and help keep the pathogens down during the time when you're not zapping it with plasma or contact. Okay, regarding the detox phase, is mercury included in the methods? Okay, go back to the detox folder. There is a terrain version which is non-violent and non-mercury, and you can use that if you got like mercury amalgam and you don't want to screw that up. Okay. Is there a problem with folks with a defibrillator implant? Possibly. I wouldn't do contact if you've got metal in your body. I would have thought maybe, I mean, some people do, but I would have thought plasma or scalar could possibly be a better thing. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to pass on that and have to leave that for you to research deeper. Is terrain safe for someone with type 1 diabetes? I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what's safe and what's not. It would not be right for me to do that. But if you've got type 1 diabetes, you would probably need to get them well, using frequency sets for diabetes, surely. And doing terrain first and foremost will probably be a very useful thing in order to try and bring them into a greater state of wellness so the organs of elimination can be cleaned. I'm not clear if the cancer protocol manual is a separate PDF document with its own link. No, that's in the software itself, in the cancer folder in the software DB. It's there, and you will find it. John had recently mentioned that the bacteria for what Rife called BX and BY, the virus, have been discovered. I'm assuming the treatment for those bacteria is in the cancer protocol now. The cancer protocol is all about pathogen control. I mean, Spooky is about pathogen control, mainly. It's also about tissue healing, and there's all kinds of fun meridian stuff and energy lines and chakras and all that kind of stuff too. But it's predominantly about the killing of pathogens and the removal of the pathogens itself in order to try and help the body to get over the problem. Along with running terrain, is there a method to prevent cancers? I don't know. Be as healthy as you can. Terrain, maybe you need to actually run the cancer protocol. I can't turn around to you and tell you that there is a way of using Spooky to prevent cancers. There's lots of other theories about that from different schools of complementary health thought, but you'll have to read into that yourself. Okay, my dad's cancer was possibly triggered by mold, which is going to be a constant issue due to the titanium hip replacements. Would I add mold as well as lymphoma where the cancer types go, or a separate treatment for mold? I would do a... In my humble estimation, you could get yourself another generator, run mold frequency sets on that all the damn time. I mean, I treat myself for mold and fungus using contact on quite a regular basis because I'm living in this crap flat and I'm going to be moving out soon, yes, where there'll be no mold anymore, which will be great. So I need to treat regularly to get into my lungs, and I successfully get it off using contact lenses. But you could do, I would do, okay, number one, do the cancer protocol, take it seriously, keep on doing it, okay? During the day when he's got time and the remotes are doing their thing in the background, then run some contact sets if you can without damaging the titanium implant for mold, or alternatively get another one running on remotes all the time. Anything to do with mold, it might take a couple of weeks for it to start working, but just keep it running. And I would actually grade scan for mold as well. Mold, funguses, bacteria, just like all that icky stuff. Just, grade scan for it. So then you've got some accurate sets, and then run refined programs on that if you can. It's called refined programs on Generator X. It's called optimize on XM. Does this calibration provide a baseline, then a scan? Yeah, the biofeedback with baseline will take longer, but it will provide a baseline and then it will scan, the way I understand. How often do you need to establish baselines on biofeedback? I myself, when I'm scanning for myself, I don't tend to do baselines. I just tend to go straight in with biofeedback because, I'm time short. That doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't. I mean, sometimes, if you're doing this over a period of many months, then sometimes you may want to forget doing the baseline biofeedback and just go straight for the regular one periodically. Okay? How do you know what the scan is picking up? It's picking up frequencies. That's all you need to know. I mean, the weird thing is, like, I did some biofeedback on my gut because I had a problem there. And I think it picked up something in my lungs because, fibrosis came up. Fibrosis of the lung came up on the reverse lookup. And I ran the frequency set and I had some improvement to my breathing. So it's picking up what's wrong with you. So it could be that, okay, let's say the hypothetical example of liver cancer. You've got a liver and it's got cancer, okay? But it's also a whopping great biological organ, this massive lump of meat with things, and all those things aren't helping the health of the liver. So if you were to scan it, 1/10 pad at the front, 1/10 pad at the back, then you would pick up not only the things, the direct specific things for the biggest malady going on in it, but also lots of other squiggly little unpleasantness, which also needs to be dealt with. And so dealing with all the squiggly little unpleasantness will help the organ to get better because, you're treating spooky like a prosthetic immune system. Okay? It's helping to kill things off which your body can't or isn't. So that will then bring more health to the organ. And, you just carry on doing it. All right, does a frequency as high as 1,780,001 raise blood pressure in hypertension patients who are on immunotherapy? I don't know. Off the top of my head, I've got no idea. Next question. I have 4 generated remote Spooky I bought 3 to 4 years ago. This is very old. Do I really need to upgrade? No, if it works, it works. It's old, but it works. Just use it. Okay? If it works, it'll work. Okay? And carry on using it. If you feel comfortable about upgrading to more, the more upgraded modern remotes, then do it. Maybe it's just your remotes which need updating, just stuff like that. But just do it. Use it. Next question. I'm having difficulty following where you go to with the cursor. It's white and not very visible. I apologize for that. I don't know how to change the color of my cursor. Maybe next time I'll put in mouse trails or something so you can see it with greater ease. Okay, for the cancer protocol, is a Generator X sufficient? Generator X is good, and you can do 2 generator methods with Generator X in contact if you want. Because that would be contact plus 2, wouldn't it? Okay. Is the ultrasonic new equipment? The ultrasonic is part of the equipment for Spooky Central. Okay, Spooky Central is a box which connects to one generator. Okay, so one generator, the box. Out of the box comes plasma, contact, ultrasonic, and PEMF coil. Okay, next question. Can I elaborate on hunt and kill? Now, hunt and kill is not a specific cancer thing. It's something you can do generally in order to try and like reduce some of the negative stuff which is inside you, and it will get like the top 10. And then it will carry on hammering those top 10. It'll rescan and then hammer again for half an hour to kill them, then rescan, then hammer again for half an hour. And you can run that every single night to try and cut down some of the pathogens in your body. You can also take existing frequency sets, let's say Candida, and I've done this before, and load that into hunt and kill. And then it'll find like the most accurate interpretations of those, and it will carry on hunting and killing the top 10 of those frequencies. So what you could do is a biofeedback scan. It's in the biofeedback folder in the software. So go to the biofeedback folder, click on Generator X, and it will take you to a section, and hunt and kill and scan and run will be two options there. Okay, so what you can do is you can do a scan, and you can put the scan into the software just like when you're loading up a program, and you can run hunt and kill on it or scan and run, and it will carry on going more accurate. Actually, hunt and kill will carry on taking the top 10 and carry on hitting those. You can leave that running all night, and it did substantially reduce some of the Candida problems I've got. Okay, objective. That's why I like this technology, because if I can tell like I'm getting more brain fog, but I can tell because of the symptoms it's like a yeast problem, then it's either I need to attack yeast, or I need to attack molds, or I need to attack Candida. I can grade scan to work out what the top 10 frequencies are. I can then shove them in hunt and kill. I can do hunt and kill overnight on contact, and it will then reduce it. Okay, I may get a Herxheimer reaction, but it'll help. How to do cancer scan using Scalar. You use Scalar Digitizer, which is this tiny little black box which fits in to Scalar. Okay, it's in the instruction manual for Scalar. There is a little section which will tell you about using Scalar Digitizer, and that will use the energy of the Scalar to work out the frequencies that's wrong inside your body. An interesting way of using Scalar Digitizer is to do a scan on Scalar and then to run it actually on plasma. Okay, because Scalar is much more tissue healing. It's not really out and out killing. So if you did a scan on Scalar, you saved it, and then what you did with it is to run it overnight on plasma, and then during the day you could run the same set on Scalar. You would probably get much more like whole body benefits, you know. Okay, also finding SC, that's Spooky Central, confusing. It can mean Scalar or Spooky Contact. No. C is contact. SC is Spooky Central. S by itself is Scalar. Okay, so you got S by itself is Scalar. SC is Spooky Central. C by itself is contact. Where do you find Herxheimer sets? The Herxheimer sets for cancer are in the Cancer DB folder. Okay? You can also use the ones in the Lyman-Morgellons folder if you feel comfortable doing that. I think it'll pretty much do the same sorts of thing, but I think the ones in the cancer folder are more specific. Okay? How do you do the cancer protocol with just a starter kit? Okay, so that would be a one generator system. Essentially, a recommendation would be to buy a second generator, a remote XM kit to go alongside it. That would be a suggestion. Now, if you don't want to do that, then you're missing out on detox, which is a challenge. But you could follow the contact plus 2 method, but without doing the detox. But on the other hand, that might not necessarily be as beneficial as if you were to run the detox as well. How are the pathogens that are killed removed from the body? Same way that, just your immune system will go after the dead things and your body will try and consume them. Okay, when your body gets over a nasty winter cold, okay, that means that there are animals inside your body, tiny little animals inside your body, which your body is fighting thanks to white blood cells and soldier cells and all this other stuff. And your body is going to try and consume it and deal with it. And then the remaining toxicity which is left behind goes out of your organs of elimination. So it's sweated out of your skin, it's breathed out of your lungs, you urinate it out, and you defecate it out. And your liver processes the waste of biological activity, as well as your kidneys and your spleen. I can't remember what a spleen does, but that's part of it somehow as well. Can you treat mold with plasma or scalar? Or does it have to be contact? No, you can treat mold with remote if you want. And in fact, there are environmental presets that people use to try and cut down mold in their house. I just haven't used that in my place. There's so much going on in this ghastly place I'm living in. But yeah, you can treat mold with plasma. I haven't heard about how, you can run mold sets on Scalar if you want, but remember that my personal interpretation is that Scalar is more of a tissue healer. It's less of a killer. Okay, so it's there to get the body stronger and fitter. It's not there to say, oh, there's a particular pathogen there, like a round worm, I'm gonna attack it. If you got mercury fillings, use the non-violent terrain, which is in the detox folder. Is it okay to run cancer protocols such as cancer, skeleton, etc. in people with no cancer? I wouldn't want to waste my time doing that. I don't think you can do any harm. But we've all humans have some malignancy going on inside them. The body normally develops something, and then it deals with it, develops it, deals with it, and so on and so forth. That's part of the biological process of living. And so it's, if there is something going on with someone, there would be nothing wrong with giving them a bit of extra help, I suppose. I can guess. Okay, can you use the PEMF coil at the same time as the Fanatron tube during the cancer treatment? Yes, easily. I understand that if you got something wrong, if I did have liver cancer and I had the Fanatron resting on the front of the liver, I could then put the PEMF coil behind it. And that, some people say, draws some of the energy into that spot where the PEMF coil is on the other side of the body, so that there's more healing going into the area. And that's why there is the coil and the contact and the plasma and the ultrasonic all together on Spooky Central. It puts much more healing power into the area that needs work. What's the proper placement of the bulb during treatment? On the affected area, pointing downwards. It's got the angular. It's got like one transmitting plate, which is vertical, another which is an angle. So that sends the electrons to the angular plate, and it sends it out from there. So, you've got this plate here. So you've got your flat plate there, you've got your angular plate there. So the energy comes from here, boom, out there. So you want to be in line with that, because there's much more energy coming out of it there. There's still plenty of energy radiating from the entire thing. Sometimes if I don't want too much of a strong treatment, I actually have it pointing upwards so as I can just get the stuff coming out the side. Okay. Is it supposed to be kept away from the heart or the brain? I don't think you need to worry about keeping the Fanatron away from the heart or the brain. Right. With contact, you do it on the right wrist, letter R, okay, and left ankle, letter L. Okay, right wrist, left ankle. So the current goes through the whole body, but not directly through the heart. If you were to do left wrist, right ankle, there'll be much more of a risk of arrhythmia. Okay, so that's why you do right wrist, left ankle when you're doing contact mode. But with plasma, you haven't got that much of an issue. It's this thing that's radiating in all directions, just like powerful, like healing energy. So it's quite, you know, the thanatron's quite bright. But if you imagine a light that's 25 times brighter, but which you can't see, that's the stuff that's doing the work. Okay? English is not my primary language. Could you explain what a grade scan is? Okay. A grade scan is when you do a scan based upon existing frequency sets to try and find the most effective frequencies within that set for you to run for the purposes of treatment. Okay? So if I wanted to treat Candida, for instance, I could select literally all the sets for Candida. Every type of Candida that there is, all of them. And I put it through the grade program on Generator X. And within just a couple of minutes of me scanning with the grade scan program, I will have the top frequencies. Top 10, top 20, whatever I want to select. That then becomes my frequency set, because the top ones, okay, are the most effective ones for me. Not necessarily for you or somebody else, but for me. Because those are the frequencies of the things which are troubling me. So you can select all the frequency sets for whatever it is you're dealing with, whether it's Giardia or tapeworm, if you're using the tapeworm protocol properly, or whatever. Try and get the top frequencies which are most significant for your problem right now. How can I target one scan towards molds or other specific pathogen? That's essentially what we're talking about. Okay? Let's say molds, yeast, candida, fungus. There's lots of frequency sets in the database there for those things. Okay? So let's say you're most concerned about mold. Mold is a big issue. Black mold, disgusting. Okay? Do a grade scan. Use the grade program on Generator X ideally, because that's quick, that's efficient. And we can do it. Put your tennis pads either side of your waist and do the grade scan. Okay, I did another webinar a while ago, and you can probably find it within the Spooky2 Rife for Life Facebook group. And it was on biofeedback training. And in that, I mentioned the grade scan and how useful and important and positive it is. It really is wonderful. And of course, you can just go onto Google and type in Spooky2 grade scanning. And at some point, you'll get a blog, or you get a video, or you get instructions from Spooky2 telling you everything. It's wonderful that Spooky2 has put out so much information. And you can just Google for it, and it'll be there for you. How do you know what frequencies correspond to certain pathogens? In some cases, you don't. You know you've got a frequency there which is important to you. It's come up in your scan. You don't know what it means. And you have to accept that. But you run it on a killing shell to reduce that particular pathogen. But you can use reverse lookup, which is not a diagnostic tool by any stretch of the imagination at all. And that can tell you a little bit about what's going on, what it thinks could hypothetically be going on in the body. Not because it's there to worry you. I mean, I did a reverse lookup a while ago. And it told me I had a problem in a part of the body I don't have being a man. So it's not the most, reliable of things in the world, but it could give you some kind of information as to what other sets you might want to consider running by way of experiment. And I think to a certain extent we have to treat some of the work we do with Spooky2 as being experimental. How strict do we need to be when using Scalar for biofeedback scan and for therapy in terms of what is in the scalar field, the filling of the sandwich, so to speak? Well, if you're doing a biofeedback on Scalar and your cat jumps onto the bed with you and curls up and meows and purrs and gets all affectionate, you're probably not going to get a very accurate scan. There'll be something wrong and it'll pick up whatever the cat's got. I would try and be relatively good. Just be as good as you can. None of us are 100% perfect, but you know, how serious are you about getting well? You know, I mean, it's like saying how strict do you have to be on the candida diet when you've got candida? You know, do you want to get well? You know, you can eat 15 Mars bars and 42 flapjacks and the creme brulee if you want, but it'll make you well. It'll make you worse. You know, if you want to be strict about your scanning, you be strict about your scanning. If you want to be strict about your diet, you be strict about your diet, because like, it's up to you. Okay, I'm not. You can't just suddenly turn around and say, well, Nick said it would be okay, therefore I'll do it. All right, that's not how it works. You've got to be strict on yourself in order to look after yourself properly. Okay, where do you place the contact pad when doing a biofeedback to check your lungs? Very good question. I mean, you want to avoid the heart if you can, but you also want to try and get the area. I would go right up your armpits, really, left and right, or indeed if it's, or maybe high up on the chest, away from the heart, by way of suggestion. Okay, I've only got 2 XM generators. Do you have a limit to your contact time of about 20 minutes a day so as not to overload yourself? No. No. You have to work out whether your body is having a Herxheimer reaction or not. And if it is, you run Herxheimer sets. You stop for a while, run Herxheimer sets. Okay? I mean, I wouldn't stop at 20 minutes. When I'm treating myself, I can go all night long, 8 hours on plasma, on contact, whatever. Because I've got things that I want to get rid of. Okay? So I'm going to do this. And I've still got a lot of work to do on myself because I'm a very unwell person. I'm much better than I was by a hell of a long shot. I'm telling you. Okay, next question. I'm super new to this. I have Generator X. Good choice. To most effectively run the cancer protocol, I'm correct in thinking I need to purchase 2 XM remote scalar units and plasma unit. Well, you can just do the contact method. You just buy 2 more XM units with remotes. You can just do the contact method with 3 on remote. So don't think that you have to spend tons of money to do the protocol. You don't. Okay, I mean, the cheapest way of doing it is 2 XM generators, one of which is a portable kit, one of which is a remote-only kit. And for £2 a day for a year, that'll give you much more money than you need to be able to pay for it, as well as delivery costs. Okay, so it is achievable, it is doable. Okay, next question. After each cancer treatment, would I run a terrain over again? No. You run terrain once. Run terrain once. Then you go on to the target phase, the cancer phase of the protocol itself, and you do that and you repeat the cancer phase, the target phase again and again and again and again. Okay? Depending upon how you're feeling. If you really think that your body's getting a bit toxic and you need to detox, you've got a choice. It's Herxheimer sets or it's running terrain again. Okay? But in reality, it's you run that terrain once. Okay, for bone cancer, what would you recommend as the best placement for TENS pads for biofeedback scan with Generator X? Where's the bone? You know, if it's in your leg, maybe you could scan either side of your leg. But if it's like the whole, like I mean, I understand that, oh God, I mean, I thought bone cancer was in the marrow, in which case that is like the upper arm or it's the thigh. Because that's where the marrow is, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not an expert on cancer. In which case, if it is, then maybe you could just scan the area where the marrow is. Okay, or failing that, do it the pulse method, which takes a lot longer, and it's more inconvenient, but could get you accurate results for your whole body. And maybe that would actually be the thing. Okay? Right. Now we've got all the questions and general chitter chatter which has appeared in the chat. Okay. Hello, I have 4 generator remotes from 3 years ago. Do I miss a lot if not update them? No, this is the same question I answered before. You know, if it's old technology but it still works, then it's old technology but still works. If it still works, use it. If you want to update your stuff, you know, update it. I'm not going to stop you. But there's no need to spend extra money if you've already got equipment that works. Okay, it's okay. Relax. All right, the cancer type I'm dealing with is bone cancer. Okay, we've done that one. Where can I find the process for prostate cancer? Okay, you'd have to find prostate cancer frequency sets. But apart from that, the process is the same. Now, if you can scan the area, then great. It can obviously be a bit challenging, but the prostate is quite towards the front of the body, so you might want to scan either side of the front of the body of that area. Okay. Okay, a lot of the questions in the chat are essential ones I've already answered from the Q&A part of the software. Frequency sweep overnight purpose actually. Frequency sweep overnight purpose actually. Is it better to use every scan with angle plus current? Okay, now we're getting onto biofeedback territory. When I only scan for current on me, I get very few frequencies turning up. So I just got into a habit of being lazy and just going for angle and current every time. Now, if I'm not being lazy, I would do as I showed you, which is you scan with current first, and then you analyze the resultant set, which you've saved and you've written into the log name, a name for it, okay? So you can then analyze it under not just current, but also angle. And then you can save that. And then you can analyze it again under angle and current. And then you get all the frequencies, which you can then run in your contact remote plasma, whatever, after you've clicked the remove duplicate button. And then that's the best way, not just to be lazy like me and only do angle and current. How are the program frequencies for various conditions determined? Numerous methods. All right, I think that sometimes it's just hot luck. I mean, we got like 100 years worth of like clinics all over the place experimenting on people. Okay, you got 100 years worth of experimentation. So essentially, it's not just like, oh, here's a number, we'll just throw that out there and hope it does something. No, they've experimented on people, not animals, and they've done scans and they've used technology. And also, originally Raymond Rife, he had his microscope, and he used frequencies of light and energy and stuff. Okay. How are the database programs updated? These days, you know, John White gets busy with sample digitizer, I understand. So things can be worked out. What's the best complete equipment I can buy for the cancer protocol? 4 generators. One of them being generator X, 2 of them being XM. Okay. And the XMs have remotes. You get remotes with your generator X as well. I would also ideally get Spooky Central, not just Spooky Plasma, but Spooky Central. And then just get attacking it to the best of your ability. Right, does that make sense? Is that understandable for everyone? When I run Spooky overnight, I hear sound. Yeah, that's quite natural. That's quite normal. Okay, I think we've covered pretty much everything. Okay, I think that's a wrap. We've done all your questions. We've done the presentation. Hope that's been fun. Hope that's been useful. Yeah, you can get either along the straight tube or the Fanatron. If you're targeting a small area, get the Fanatron. Whole body, plasma tube, long straight tube. Okay, that's that. See you next time. You look after yourself. God bless everyone.